Hello, my name is Emily Burgoyne and I am the librarian of the Angus Library at Regent's Park College in Oxford. The Angus holds the world-leading collection of Baptist historical material from Britain and from across the world wherever there has been a Baptist presence. I'm delighted to speak to you today at Undoing 2007, Preparing for 2038. And I'd like to give you a brief overview of the significant abolitionist and anti-slavery material that we hold in the Angus. The Baptists in Jamaica were founded by freed slaves, notably George Liele, who sought support and financial help for the schools and chapels he was founding. He wrote to the Baptist Missionary Society in England, and we have their minutes here also in the Angus. William Knibb was one of the Baptist missionaries sent out to Jamaica by the Baptist Missionary Society. He spoke out again and again against slavery. We hold a selection of his correspondence in which he talks about the importance of the education of enslaved people. And after the end of slavery, he talks about the importance of setting up schools and training, particularly for young women. We also have his memoirs, as well as the memoirs of several other Baptist missionaries who were in Jamaica while slavery existed and who saw with their own eyes the horrors and the brutality which was perpetrated under this system. Sam Sharp was a Baptist deacon in Jamaica. He was an enslaved man, and he mistakenly heard in late 1831 that slavery had been abolished. He organized a peaceful strike in which he and his fellow enslaved men refused to work without wages. Sharp only wanted a peaceful protest, but unfortunately the uprising turned into a bloodbath at the hands of the British authorities, who acted out violent retributions against those who were involved. Even William Knibb was arrested on suspicion of complicity, and Sam Sharp lost his life. He was executed in 1832. He was hung. We have an incredible collection of periodicals, the Baptist Herald and the Friend of Africa, which recount the events leading up to the uprising, sometimes known as the Christmas Rebellion, other times known as the Baptist War. They talk about what happened, and they describe the bloody aftermath, the floggings, the terrible retribution that was taken by the British authorities. They also describe Sam Sharp's trial and give an account of his execution at the gallows. The rector asked him if he was ready for prayer. He answered in the affirmative, and they moved towards the foot of the gallows. Sharp, raising his eyes from the groundwork to the upper frame, as it were, measuring the strength of the awful structure. Even the manner in which he knelt to join in prayer was indicative of his magnanimous soul. Well, slavery supposedly ended in the British Empire and was abolished in 1807. However, as we know, slaves in the colonies were not freed until 1838. We have an extraordinarily interesting collection of letters written between John Clark, a Baptist missionary, and Joseph Sturge, who was a Quaker and a manufacturer in Birmingham. He was also a grain merchant and a philanthropist, and the founder of the British and Foreign Anti-Slavery Society. In his letters to Clark, he is stating the case, for example, for the abolition of the apprenticeship system, and he talks about how he is going to go before the Society of Friends Assembly in London and plans to tour the country telling people of the evils of apprenticeship. We also have a unique collection of anti-slavery documents in a commonplace book, which we think was compiled by a woman in the West Midlands. Amongst many other abolitionist material, such as plans of slave ships and poetry by Cooper, there is also the first report of the Female Society for Birmingham, West Bromwich, Wednesbury, Walsall, and their respective neighbourhoods for the relief of British Negro slaves. And this contains a list of members. And when you go through them, you can trace some of them back to the major nonconformist families of the day, the Cadburys, the Gurneys, and the Lloyds. And we have an amazing document, the written autobiography of Joseph Jackson Fuller, born an enslaved man in 1825, who became a Baptist missionary. He describes how as a child he was told by his mistress that if I be a good boy, she would give me my freedom. He talks about the night of emancipation, the 1st of August 1838, and he says, the scene of the night will never be forgotten by all who witnessed it. The watch night was solemn and impressive. When slavery was buried, children knelt by their mother's side to wait the hour of 12 o'clock to strike. And for half an hour there was silent prayer, each child, scarcely realizing from what they were being delivered, looked up into the face of the parent as they, in gratitude, let tears fall from their eyes, to see the upturned eyes of the thousands as they waited around the grave, which was to receive the coffin which contained the implements of slavery. And as the last stroke of the clock told the hour of 12, the coffin lowered and the doxology was said. The morning dawned on us, a free people. We also have the papers of Edward Bean Underhill, Secretary of the Baptist Missionary Society, as he wrote copious letters and reports about the Morant Bay Uprising later on in the 1860s, a legacy of slavery. And so we have a very interesting and varied collection of Baptist material talking about the men and women involved directly witnessing or campaigning in this country to end the slave trade. And as we know, it continued long after 1807, and this is seen in the correspondence and the reports that we have from the Baptist Missionary Society. It would be a very positive and significant step if we could join together with other archives and collections held in nonconformist collections across the country and the world to produce and create an archive specifically in memory and to commemorate 1838 emancipation. We would also like to work and share our resources with educationalists for workshops for schools and colleges in this country and across the world, with academics and researchers from other denominations and also other educational institutions. And we'd also be very pleased to work with our colleagues in the Jamaica Baptist Union to share our resources and work together towards commemorating, remembering and understanding the 1838 emancipation. Thank you very much for listening to me. I hope the rest of the workshop is productive and fruitful.